Hey guys, so here's a video to show you how to complete your research and then how to actually write your mini research paper. So remember that I've already shown you done one video on how to do your research. This video will kind of go over that also. But basically remember that after slide 4, all of our slides are different by 1. I have 1 extra slide than you because I have a standard slide, which is a slide full of standards. Okay, so my slide 7 is your 6, and my 8 is your 7, and so on and so forth, okay? So remember that slide 6 is the running search page, which you may or may not use. It's basically a place where you can like copy and paste URLs and information that you think you might use, but you're not sure yet, or you are going to use, but you are not ready to put it in a quote yet, or whatever, okay? So if you'll remember, I'm doing the history of dogs, and I did my first search and I found a page called The History of Dogs as Pets by ABC News. I went through, I said, is the information accurate? Yes. Can it, the information be verified? Yes, it could be. Was there bias? No, there was not. And did it answer my question? Yeah. And honestly, if it doesn't answer your question, you probably don't even get this far. You just probably stop and just go somewhere else, right? Then what I did is I wrote 2 questions that could for sure be answered in the text. That's just like the QFT. And that not only could they be for sure be answered in the text, but they were different than the thing I was going to quote or paraphrase. Because if you think about it, basically what I'm trying to get you to do is have 3 pieces of information from each source, a quote or paraphrase, and 2 answers. Okay, so I did all that. Then I did my sub-summary sentence, and remember, you can copy and paste this. This is just a guide. You guys have written a bunch of these at this point, so you know how to do it. You can manipulate it the way you want. You can say in the text, you can say the text, you can not say the text, you can just say the name of the page. You can say by the person, you cannot say it's by the person and just say their name. You do what works best for you. Just make sure it's a sentence that makes sense, has correct capitalization and punctuation, and ends in a period. Okay, then here I have my quote. Remember that I got this box off your slide 7, my slide 8. And this is where your quote box comes from. This yellow slide, you don't do anything but copy from. And that's what I'm going to, so that's where I'm going to, I pulled this from because it was a web page, and I pulled it here to house my quote from this web page. The author's name was Lindsay Jacobson, so I put the author's last name was Jacobson. But remember, and so that's just last name. But remember, if there's no author, you literally put no author, and you capitalize no and author like that's their first and last name. And then, but I did have an author, so I'm going to change that back. And then you just respond to it. It says my thinking, but it could be your reaction. It could be what you learned. I'm pretty open here, but basically I just want your words about what's written here. Okay. And this, I need to make this black. My apologies. Okay. And it is a quote, so I need to put it in quotation marks. If it's not a quote, just, you don't need to. If it's a paraphrase, you don't need to. And then finally, you'll see that I did put the name of the source right here, quote or detail from. Okay, so that was my first source. I was done. I did it for a second source. I'll just show you really quickly that for the second source, I did have 2 quotes, and that's fine. That's fine, but you have to have at least 3 quotes, and you can then have also pictures and images and tables if you want, but you have to have at least 3 quotes, and they have to be from at least 3 sources. So even though I already have 3 quotes, I have to go get my last one, and that's what I'm showing you today, okay? So my last one, I'm going to go ahead and just Google again, history of dogs, because that's been working out pretty well for me. Now, interestingly enough, today, instead of ABC News coming up first, Britannica.com's coming up first. And I might check that out, but I know that's going to be really fact-based and not like, which is good, facts are good. There's not going to be like a ton of information. So I'm going to come back to that if I need it. For now, I'm going to see if there's anything else. So there's the ABC News website that I pulled up. I already used that. My next one's Wikipedia, which I'm not going to do. I shall not use Wikipedia. Here's a thing called the historycooperative.org. looks interesting. But then I see, ooh, it catches my eye, National Geographic. And I know National Geographic is a reputable source. I'm going to go there. Okay, so I get there. It says domestic dog. And I start to search. And again, of course, I have to read this. And so I'm reading in real time. And oh, there pops up. They want my email address for me to continue. Now, I don't think I'm going to do that. I'm going to see if I can. I don't want to give my information away. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can go back to the original search page, and I'm going to check out that history cooperative and just see if it looks, like it's going to pass the test and has valid information. Okay. So I go through, I read the page. And again, guys, I have to stress, you have to read the page. You cannot skim it. If you skim it, your research is going to come out, your paper is going to come out looking crazy, or just not crazy probably, but just not very good. And then your project, you're going to be kind of maybe not feeling so great when you actually present. If you don't know what you're talking about, because remember that we're going to, not only are you going to present what you've written about, but we might ask you follow-up questions. And when I say we, I mean me. And when I say might, I mean for sure. So you need to know your topic after this. Okay, so I am reading this entire page. I'm just not going to do it while this video's on, right? And while I've read it, I have found valuable information. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get the URL and get it into my document or into my slide deck, my research project, because I don't want to lose this. This is going to be my third source, I think. Okay. So beep boop bop, the passage of time. I'm going to go back to slide 6. This is where things kind of slow down here. So slide 6, again, it's my slide 7. And I have not only the URL, but the name of the page, and I have the quote I'm going to use. Okay. So, and I got that all on slide 6, just so that it's safe. And if the bell rings or something, or there's a fire drill, or I get called out sick, I don't lose this valuable information. Okay. So now I'm going to go and I'm going to do my last 2 slides. Okay. So first thing I do is I put the title here. I put the link here, and I evaluate my information, my source. Is it accurate? Yeah, it's accurate. Can it be verified? Yes, I'm reading the same things over and over and over again, and I'm just pulling from different sources. That means it's verified in multiple places. Is there bias? Nope. There's no emotionally charged language. There's no opinions. And does it answer my question? Yep, sure does. Okay. So then I ask 2 questions. Where was the Bonn Oberkassel found? And I'm guessing Bonn Oberkassel probably means, I bet you Bonn means dog in German, because it was found in an area called Oberkassel in Germany in 1914. So I have the answer. I had to go back into the page to find it, but that's okay, right? That's called research. You're going to have to be going back and forth some. So that's okay. And I definitely had to double check I was spelling Oberkassel wrong. If you see in the question, I even just copied and pasted it. And better safe than sorry, right? Now, if it was going to be in my answer, I would need to make sure that I got rid of that white background and everything, because it needs to look uniform. But it's just the question, so it's fine. And where might some dogs have originated? Some dogs might have originated in Nepal and Mongolia, where humans were still hunters and gatherers. No, where? I should have said when. Excuse me, when. And again, I went back into the webpage to find that information. And it's different than the quote I pulled, which we'll talk about right now. So the quote I pulled, so first of all, I pulled a quote box from slide 7, and this was an individual web page. So I pulled this quote box. Okay. Pretty familiar with it now because I've done it now 4 times. And I put the title of the page here in quotation marks. Okay. I put my quote here in quotation marks. And then I went to go check, was there an author? Let's double check this. There's not an author. It says guest contribution. Well, I'm not going to write guest contribution as my author, because that's not a person. I mean, there is a guest. That's a person, but they're not saying who they are. So essentially it's no author. So I'm putting no author. And then I wrote my opinion or my thinking about it, which is that, or my conclusion about it, which is that there might not be clear answers. I need to say a clear answer or clear answers. So I'm going to go with clear answers about where the first dog originated. That's kind of what I've learned, is that it's kind of up in the air. So there's my fourth quote from my third source. I need to come back up here and do my sub-summary. So right in History of Dogs, The Journey of Man's Best Friend, that's the title. Now, there's no author, so I'm going to just list the name of the organization that made the webpage, which is History Cooperative in purple, explains, and then again, I'm going to write out a summary, but I'm not going to write it here because I want you guys might use this source. And so if you use this source, I want you to find your own summary. Okay, so once you've gotten to 3 quotes at least on 3 slides, or on the 6 green slides from 3 different sources, you're done with the green slides. You are now ready to move to blue. And for the blue, for you, that's 14 and 15. You're going to do your SAC topic sentence. This should look super duper familiar. Okay. So in the source collection, or in the sources, you could pick it out. You could say the source collection, the sources, the source collection. Make it work for you. You don't have to copy my exact sentence, right? And then, of course, I'm putting the history of dogs, but most of you are not doing the history of dogs, so you need to put your topic, okay? So in the sources about the history of dogs, the sources explain, and then for me, it's where and when scientists think dogs might have originated, period. Notice that I double check that all of these fragments are not capitalized because they do not start a new sentence and should not be capitalized. Okay, so now it's time to copy and paste, y'all. Okay, so black box goes to black box, and then everything from the green, or most everything from the green, is going to go into the blue. So let's look at this. So unfortunately, all these little yellow boxes here on the side, because I gave you guys that extra working slide, they're all off by 1. So just use them or don't use them. Use this video. It's probably a little more accurate. So I just copied and pasted everything from those SAC topic sentence, graphic organizer, the black box. And I did I indented because it's the beginning of my mini essay. And all of this right here comes right from the SAC topic sentence. Okay. Now, the rest that's going to go in the blue box is a little more complicated, but not really. Okay. So here's what you're going to do. Think about, you basically want to introduce each source, add your quote, and then add your answers. So, and it doesn't really matter which one you do, unless you unless it matters to you, like unless you got the information and put it in a specific order, it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to go back to my first green slide that has a subtopic sentence, and I would copy and paste this, then this, and this, and then I'll go back up and get my two answers, not questions, answers. Okay, and some of this should be pretty familiar, guys. We just did it in the interpret and analyze packet. Okay, so the pattern is sub-summary sentence, your quote or paraphrase, and then pay really close attention. In parentheses and in pink, you're going to put the author, even if it is no author. Okay, then a period. Okay, then in purple, you're thinking. All of this is from one slide. Okay, this is from the top box on that slide, and all of this is from the bottom box on that slide. Then you go back to the slide above it and do your 2 answers. Okay, so all of this is for one source. Okay, so that's 5 sentences at least per source times 3 sources. Again, at least. You might have more, so that's 15. 5 sentences times 3 sources. 15, yay. So that's a total of 16 sentences in your mini summary, right? 1 up here in the SAC topic sentence, and 15 down here. Now, for me, I actually had 2 quotes, so I will end up with 16 here and 17 total. Okay, the main thing you really need to look at is that with your quote or paraphrase comes parentheses, author, parentheses, period. You don't need a comma. You don't need a page number, just author in parentheses. If you don't, I will just return your paper. Okay. And then at that point, you now are done. You need to, double check spelling, capitalization, grammar, periods, all that stuff. All of it should be in one big sentence, one big paragraph. Notice there's a big space right here. So I'm going to double check that this won't fit up there because it looks weird and it should all be one paragraph. So I'm going to just double check. Oh, nope. As soon as I put a space, it disappears. So that is correct. Okay. I hope this was helpful. Use it, watch it several times, pause it if you need to.